lot of the internet security programs have firewalls built in. Windows has a built-in firewall. The built-in Windows firewall works. It works okay, but if you can figure out how to configure a better firewall, it'll stop more attacks from coming into your computer. Another thing is operating systems. The newer your operating system you have, the less likely you are going to be attacked. Because like Windows XP is more vulnerable to viruses, the Internet Explorer can't use Internet Explorer 9, so you're going to not be able to use the newest browser. If you can't use the newest browser, there's going to be more security holes. Another thing is passwords. I've noticed a lot of people use very lame passwords, so to say. Password is not a good password. So you should have something that has uppercase, lowercase, numbers, at least 7 digits or 8 digits, some amount of contents. That way I can't figure it out, or if anybody else can't figure it out. If I can figure it out, it's not a good password. Because a lot of people use the same passwords, believe it or not. Windows updates is going to stop a lot of security holes in the Windows operating system, and it also has the updates for your browser. Because if your browser's not up to date, your computer's not up to date, and you don't have an up-to-date antivirus, you're definitely going to get a virus, because every computer that comes in, I could scan it, it's going to probably have a virus on it. But I have seen some people come in with everything up to date. When everything's up to date, you barely find viruses. You find tracking cookies, and tracking cookies definitely, they come up as an alert on your antivirus, but they're not really an alert. All that means is that your computer has picked up and made a file that had all your usernames and passwords in it, but it's encrypted, so the site that gave you the cookie, it's the only one that can read it, but that's why they always remove it from your computer, so it's not really a threat. Another problem that people have, routers going with the WEP wireless encryption. I don't know if you've heard of that, the different type of encryptions on a router. Well, there's WEP, WPA, WPA2. WEP is one of the lowest securities. If you have that, I can drive by your house, stop in front of your house on my iPhone, click a button, find out your password, log into your router, log into your computer, do whatever you want to do with your computer. If you have...
How do we know what we have?
When you go to the wireless connections, it'll say that your computer is WEP security, or if it's WPA or WPA2, it'll tell you what you have.
And what do you need to be safe?
WPA2 is the best. If your router supports it and your wireless adapter supports it, definitely go with WPA2. WPA is also very good. WPA2 is actually considered to be uncrackable. It's what the government uses.
What does that mean? What do those?
WPA is, I have it written down here somewhere. Hold on a second. Wireless and Wi-Fi protected access is WPA. Wireless encrypted protocol is WEP. WPA2 uses AES encryption, which is the advanced encryption standard, and WPA uses TKIP, which is temporal key integrity protocol, which means with AES it takes whatever your key is and it makes it encrypts it 3 times, so it's harder to figure out. With TKIP, it takes one password. They call it a passcode because they actually take that and encrypt it to a hexadecimal code, which is your encryption key. Because when the wireless goes out of your router, it's encrypted, and the key decrypts the information so that way your computer can understand it. So with WEP, with my cell phone, I go by the house, I click it, it just searches, it figures out whatever the 10-digit code is by just going through a whole series of 10-digit codes until it finds the right one. With WPA, because it's encrypted three times, it's very hard to figure out what the password is. And with WPA2, it's even harder. They say it's unhackable. I don't know if that's true just yet, but we'll find out. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, actually I do. You mentioned something just real quick, that only one antivirus program at a time on a computer.
One real-time
Okay, well,
antivirus
that's what I'm
program.
going to ask you. We've got, Cox gives you the McAfee for free.
Yeah.
Would Spybot and the other one's the Mel something or that?
Malwarebytes?
Yes. Are those considered as well?
Malwarebytes, if you pay for it, it has a real-time scanner. And same thing, Spybot has a T-timer, it's called.
If you don't pay for it, you just get free.
Yeah, SpyBot is good to run with your antivirus. You can run that. And Malwarebytes doesn't run real time unless you buy it, and then it's good to have in your computer to scan it when you're infected.
Okay.
But you could run those together.
Okay.
But so an example of two real-time programs run together, like if you had like Spyware Doctor antivirus, and you had McAfee, or you had McAfee and AVG, or AVAS and AVG. If you had two real-time programs that have like the full suite running all the time, because every time you go to open a file, it's going to be scanning the same file with two programs, so they're going to be fighting over authority to see who scans it. And by the time they figure out what happened, 10 seconds have gone by. So it really eats up a lot of time on your computer.
Yeah, SpyBot will do that though. Sometimes it will pop up and say, we're going to allow this or
Allow this into the registry to be
Yeah.
checked. Yeah, the SpyBot really watches the registry. It doesn't really watch your files as much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Microsoft, or is it MSE, I think it is.
Yep, the Microsoft Security Essentials.
That's pretty good.
Yep, that was a new one they just released. If you don't have an antivirus on your computer, it's going to push Microsoft Security Essentials through Windows updates onto your computer, so you have an antivirus.
Yeah.
It was actually a good thing they did. They just started doing this, I think, 2 months ago or a month ago.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah, and they use that in conjunction with Windows Defender. Windows Defender is like a Malwarebytes program. It works just like Malwarebytes does, but real time.
Same kind of question.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Norton was never able to catch any of the spyware that was ultimately infected me, nor was McAfee.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're almost forcing you to have two running real time.
Well, let's see what,
So, I mean, what's ultimately, I see that my spyware now wants to update, but it's telling me that I shouldn't because I've got Norton running. So it's going to take over all the functions of Norton, or has Norton finally figured out how to also protect against spyware? Or it's like there's no solution, because no matter what you have on there, something else is coming in after you. What's your recommendation?
well, see, the problem that you have in there is viruses are released every day. There may be 100 viruses released in a day, and every day you get an update from the antivirus program. If the antivirus program doesn't have definitions to protect you against whatever viruses that just came out, it's going to get in your computer, and then after it's already in your computer, the next morning it gets the definition. So that when it does a quick scan in the background, like one of the scheduled scans, it's going to pick it up and say, oh, you're infected. But it let it in because it just didn't know about it before. It's like somebody trying to like sneak in, and you didn't know who they were, and then after, like, who the heck's this guy? It's kind of the same thing.
But so you're saying